All right, we are recording and we are starting. So today it won't take too long of your day today. I'll try to keep it about a half hour, a little bit more for getting buyers off the fence. So now in this market, there's different markets. I just want to clarify. There's always going to be buyers on the fence, buyers on the fence for many different reasons. And you as an agent, your job is to really advise them to make sure they're either going to buy a house, get off the fence one way, or get off the fence the other way and not buy a house. And so many times agents, and it happens to everybody out there, every agent out there will get buyers and get clients that for a while that just keep you going, just can't make decisions, not sure. And then we will always, and then just end up doing nothing. And you know why we do those? Because we have the exact opposite. Sometimes we have buyers that we're working with, and then kind of they fall off the planet. They don't get excited about what they're doing, and then you might kind of lose touch with them. And then all of a sudden you run into them or check in on them a couple months later, a year later, saying, hey, just checking in on you. I know we were looking at houses a year ago and you decide not to. And they go, oh, we bought a house. And then they go, hey, what about me? What about me? What happened? What happened? We had a relationship. So that happens to every agent. And some of us, many of times, no matter how good or what you do, it will always happen. It's just a numbers game. So today I just want to go over some of the theories and things to think about when working with buyers. And the hardest part about real estate is something over time and just the amount of situations you'll be in that you learn these things or get comfortable with these things and dealing with people, right? It's hard to know how you deal with people without dealing with people. It's hard to imagine helping people in certain circumstances unless you're in that scenario. So I understand to new agents, to agents hasn't come across situations where they have buyers on the fence, or sometimes you don't even recognize they're on the fence. So I love to be a resource for that, to just brainstorm, paint a picture. So a lot of my pictures are stereotypical buyer on the fence pictures, but I enjoy giving agents, this might be where they're going, this might where be going. So let me start by going over some things that I feel that why do buyers stay on the fence? Why are they on the fence? And a lot of these are going to be things that you already know, but things to keep you in mind, no matter what they are saying, no matter what they are, their attitude. The number one thing, of course, is fear. The fear of making the decision, the fear of making the wrong decision, the fear of change. They're out of their circle, they're out of their comfort zone. Again, like even physically, when someone's moving, they're going to a different zone. So physically, they are out of their zone. They're moving and looking. So no matter what they say, consciously or unconsciously, or how they feel, some people are great with their emotions in the aspect of like telling them, I'm kind of scared, I'm kind of nervous, but some people don't try not to show it, or even so far they push it back, and they make it seem to you that they're not, that there's that fear. But that, of course, the fear is always there. The other thing is the grass is always greener. Again, it's like sometimes in some markets, I mean, it's not so much in this market, but in some markets is that there's so many new houses coming on the market and people just can't decide. They're watching online all the time, Oh, look, new house. I want to go see that one. I'm not going to buy that one I saw today, even though I kind of like it because I want to go see that one. And they keep on moving around. It's kind of like those people that if you go to the restaurant, you want something really good to eat, and you like the special, and then all of a sudden, every couple minutes, there's a new special. There's a new special. You're like, well, I can't decide what I want to eat because there might be a new special that I like better than this one. So I'm going to give you some talking points through these, but the grass is always greener on the other side, so people can't make that decision. The finality of the decision, just like they just can't do it. They just can't make it. Example, I just had an agent just the last 2 days, 2 agents, buyers back out the day, their buyers, the day they signed the contract. 1 day, less than 1 day. They are on the fence so much that, or they're the finality of it. So they were gung-ho. They love these houses. 2 different buyers, 2 different houses. Just happened to happen to 2 of our agents calling me, what should I do? They signed a contract. They don't want it now, just because the finality of it, they're writing the check for the earnest money, getting the finality of picking that house, making the right decision on that. So in each of those buyers have their thoughts and their excuses. And now these agents got to decide if they want to continue working with them. I'm not going to go in the whole legality issue of what to do. I'm just saying 2 buyers found houses under contract in this market. Day one, by the end of the first day of under contract, they're already backing out because the finality of it, just, is it fear? Is it making the right decision? The grass is greener on the other side, or all encompassing? It happens. Number 4, a lack of perspective, a lack of what they want to accomplish, of what's best for them, where they're coming from, and where they're going. If they don't paint a good picture of what they really want to accomplish, they don't really understand. So that happens a lot with, they just really, like, I want to move and I need to move, but I just can't put it all together of how it's going to work, and how it's going to be handled, and again, out of their comfort zone. Of course, this market can't find what they're looking for, that's for sure. Number 6, they don't have all of the financial, emotional, and physical resources to make the decision and to move. Some people haven't moved in years and they just don't have the physical, they don't just know how, and worried about how to do it. They don't have the resource. They don't have anybody helping them. They don't have anybody outside of you as their real estate advisor explaining to them how the process works, and to be that calm in the storm and say, don't worry, we're going to hire movers. We're going to get this. We're going to be able to pack your house. And any agent watching this has been in the business a while. We've all had clients. It's like, oh my God, I don't, like, they almost question moving because they can't even fathom how they're going to pack up a whole house worth of stuff and where they're going to put it all. So there's a lot of moving parts to that, but someone that doesn't have the resources financially, some people just barely have the money for the down payment. They financially have the okay from their bank, but they're like, oh my God, I got to hire a mover, or I've got to find the resources physically of people to help me move. Because we've had people that buying a new house, and this happens to us a couple times a year, and it's not fun, but we've had sellers, either our sellers or other sellers, just not, even though they're saying, oh, we're ready, we sold, we're going to be out by this date, and then all of a sudden the date happens and they're not out of their house. The house is transferred or about to transfer, and the sellers just couldn't manage, didn't have the resources, either financially, mentally, time management, organization, or people helping them. Oh gosh, I've had so many times over the years, I have sellers that go, oh, well, my brother-in-law was supposed to pick up that, my son said he was going to take that, and then I hired this company that didn't show, and I have all this stuff still in the house, and I don't know when they're going to come pick this up, and the buyer's closing the day and they want to move in this weekend. We've had situations like that. If you're ever, again, each situation is different, how we handle that, legally, and how we give advice to how to handle those situations when you're the buyer side, seller side. Always call me. Century 21 Home Star agents, always call me. And of course, I have stories after stories of situations. And of course, kind of like I was saying before, those experience helps the next people and helps how we can handle those. So the amount of stories I could tell. I've had buyers calling police and police sitting in front of houses with sellers trying to move their stuff out. I've had actually one buyer go to a house that just closed and there's someone else living in the house. And the seller didn't even know someone else was living in the house. It was a scam rental, and someone scammed these people. They knew it was a vacant house. They somehow got into the house. The scammers rented it to someone. It wasn't even their house. It's a rental scam, and these people were living in the house. They had their stuff. Luckily, they just kind of just moved into the rental. They weren't like, a whole house full of furniture, and that was a legal mess. But the point I'm getting at is that there's situations that you could get into, but with our office and myself and all the experience we've been through these things before. A lot of them, never surprised, always something new that could pop up, but that's where the experience comes in. And then of course, the last of why buyers sit on the fence, because they're shoppers, not buyers. They're tire kickers. They just like, well, if I find the right house and then I'll buy, then I'll sell. If all the stars are aligned, and you got to make that judgment, because it's like gambling. It's like the agent's like, I want to gamble some more on my time because this might be the right time. This might be the right time. All the stars align, and perfect house, the perfect time for this buyer, and it's perfect. And you'll spend your time and energy. Am I telling you that's a good or bad thing? No, that's something that you have to decide if you want to invest your time in. And there's ways to help you with that, buyers agency agreements, things like that could help you navigate that and make sure it ends up well for you financially. But there's always going to be people that are shoppers waiting for all the stars align. But just imagine today, years ago, again, like I always say, like when dinosaurs roamed the earth before the internet, and we had to show houses, and there's an MLS book. So when people want to be tire kickers and shoppers, we really had to get in our car and drive to all of the houses so they could see them. At least so I'm just kind of giving you the silver lining of tire kickers today. At least today, people can tire kick on Zillow and realtor.com on listings. You said they could see pictures and virtual tours, and you could limit your time, even though you think going to the houses and you're spending time there. But there's things you can limit that. Make sure you do a walkthrough. Like I know I have agents and I coach agents when you have people, I want to go see it. Well, have you seen the picture yet? Well, okay, great. Give me 20 minutes of your time, 10 minutes of your time. We'll log online together. We'll go through pictures and talk about the house before we go see it. Some people are like, I think there's a new house on, but let's just go see it. Well, take the 5 minutes to look at the pictures, look at the area, pull up Google Maps. I have agents doing Zooms with their clients, with bringing up their screen and showing them the house online, going on Google Maps, showing them the street, kind of doing a virtual showing and talk about it with them, not just having them look. So it saves you the time to go out there just in case they see something that they're not seeing. Because every agent that has had clients see properties online go out there and see things in the house that they probably could have saw online if they would have looked. If they go, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that the bedrooms are all next to each other. I like the bedrooms to be separate. The master is on this floor. And they could have read it. It says master on the first floor. Well, I don't want a master on the first floor. I want a master on the second floor, or vice versa. So there's things that you can do to make sure they're paying attention to all the specifics online to save that time on that. Now, some things that you as an agent do to keep the buyers on task, to keep them on, and making sure that they know that you are the one that's there as their advisor to help them through the process. And number one is keeping that enthusiasm or excitement for buying a new house. You can't be like, oh boy, here we go, seeing houses again. Oh, we're never, you can't take on that emotion of them if they're getting discouraged, offers not getting accepted. You got to keep that enthusiasm, keep that positive, say, don't worry, we're going to find the house. Don't worry. It's all, even when it's meant to be. We haven't found the right one for you. The right one's coming for you. We're going to find it. It's all in the due time. It's out there. So many agents sometimes get too far into the negative. Oh, the market's terrible. There's too much of a seller's market. Things are going overpriced. They are going, within a day for way over asking. There's 20 offers on their house. If you keep explaining to buyer, and I know this is happening out there, if you keep on explaining the negative or the negative side or a negative feeling about the market and buying, why would they want to buy? Your job is to convince them that the market is good, not convince them. I'll use that word lightly. Again, going back to those questions of, is this the right time for them? Which side of the fence should be on? If anybody says to me, doesn't even matter, I don't even care, I don't have to look at the market, is today the right time to buy? That's for you to make that decision, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I'm here to help you. Do you need to move? Do you need to, for what reasons are there for you to move? No matter if it's the best market in the world, the worst market in the world, for whatever reason, again, the market's all going to be there. What is your reason for moving? And the number one thing I tell, to answer this question, when they talk about pricing of houses, I get this a lot from agents. I see it even on Facebook sometimes. I'm glancing at Facebook. I always do once or twice a day, just to glance to see what agents are up to and doing out there, just to stay abreast of the market and what agents are doing. And I see agents posting articles about the market is good. Some I've seen our agents post articles about the market is bad for buyers. But the thing of it is, especially price-wise, buyers should be buying a home to live in is the number one reason, not an investment is second. Just like an example, today, last couple of years, the market, a couple of years ago, we didn't know it would be like this. No one knew. When the start of COVID, did we have any idea that we'd be where we are today? Where are we going to be 3 years from now? We have no idea. No one can guarantee which way we're going to be. But you buy a house to be a home of where you're going to live. Unless you're talking to an investor, let's put them out. You're not buying it for investment, because little talking points, Mr. and Mrs. Seller or Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, over the history of real estate as a long-term investment, almost all or a very high percentage have been ahead. It depends upon the market and what's going on. But if you're buying it as a home, you're not buying the value of the home. You're buying it, one, for a home, and you're buying the payment. You're living day to day, month to month with the payment, not the value. You're living with the payment, not the value. I bring this up with the car industry all the time, because over the years of buying cars, and especially even today, to me, of how expensive cars have gotten, especially in what's happening in the economy. They can't even buy a used car for a decent price. But the point is that we don't buy cars for their value, or none of them. Who would write a check for $70,000 for a pickup truck? No one. If you told people 10 years ago you're going to be paying $70,000 for a general basic pickup truck, well, not basic, but some with a little nice. But no, it's the payment. It's the payment. They're going by, well, what is it? What do they advertise? Payment. So you live with the payment. So with a seller or buyer, I'd say, listen, check the payment out, because if you're going to be here 7 years, 8 years from now, 10 years from now, we don't know what the market will be like then. We hope that over the history of real estate, over that period of time, it's going to be up from where you are now, but we can't guarantee that. But you'll have at least the enjoyment of the house, a minimal. Say it's the same price from now to them. You've saved the deduction in your taxes. You've had the enjoyment of the house. Where there's a lot more to it than just the price of the house. Because again, today we don't know. For all we know, 3 years from now, it's going to go up another, crazy 10%, 5%, 20%. Who knows where the inventory and where the economy will be, well, 3 years from now. And everything's local too. You never even know what's happening locally. If all of a sudden you live in a certain city and all of a sudden there's a new company or new situation happening, there's going to be a lot more houses or a lot more buyers flood in the market to buy houses that are limited inventory, and the values go up. That's kind of what's happening now. So I just kind of got off on a tangent there, but what else things that you can do is kind of what I said, is explain to them a comprehensive market history of what's been happening over time, clarity with the statistics of those. Again, you can show them, this is what houses, so right on the MLS, you could go back 5 years. I don't know how far the MLS goes back, but let's go back, see what houses have been selling for. You could do per square feet. You could do on the same street. You could do a CMA of houses that they're buying now, where they were 5 years from, 10 years from now. Obviously, in this market, works pretty good, but just like the stock market, no one knows. No one knows which way it's going to go. Where the stock market is really high and people are still buying high, it's the highest it's ever been just recently, not to go into investments, but people still bought stocks and they're the highest they've ever been because they think they're going to continue to go high. That's what maybe people have the same mindset about real estate too. They're going to continue to go up, but can go down. Don't want them yelling at you 8 years from now going, my house is worth less than it is 8 years ago. You guaranteed me it was going to go up. You can't do that. Be supportive of which way they want to go. So that's one of the last things about what things you can do is and one of the most important is just be supportive of what their decision. Don't make it feel like, I know we're doing this to make a living, to make money. We're going to do that. That's why we're doing it. We're not doing it for free and for help. We like to help, but we like to get paid for it too. But I know after a while, oh gosh, it's happened to me so many times over my career. We're showing buyer houses. I'm like, it's gotta be the next one. It's gotta be, and I lose that enthusiasm. I lose that support. Like, get off the fence, but be supportive of which way they want to go, but also give them the advice, give them things that they can. So I'm going to kind of go over them, some advice and things to do to help them pick a side of which way they want to go. One thing you can continue to do is remind them of why they're buying. Continue to remind them. Why are they buying? Are they looking to buy because they have to move for a job? You could sometimes they feel like, well, yeah, but remember, we got to get you in here before you start your new job, or especially one of the main things of why spring and early summer is the busier time is because people want to get out of the house and get into a new house before school starts. Remember, we got a timeline. We want to get them into that new school system, the kids into there before they need a role as school. Also, people are retiring. If they're retiring and downsizing, like, yeah, you really want, come next. I'm just using this as an example. Hey, remember you told me, obviously it's getting into fall. You want to get into less maintenance of a house and shoveling a long driveway, or cutting along a big yard, or taking out the garbage, or whatever amenities they're looking for. You want to be out before winter because you want to get out there before that. So you just remind them of the things of why they told you why they're moving, because sometimes they lose focus because they get nervous, they get scared, they don't have the resources. Everything we just mentioned, you got to keep on supporting it and reminding them of that. Also, you can remind them of the cost of procrastinating. Like right now, today, people that decided a year ago, or we'll just say even 6 months ago, to buy, didn't want to buy because they thought, oh, the prices are a little too high. they're kicking themselves because they see the interest rates going up. So one of the things you can do is, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, or Mr. Buyer, or Mrs. Buyer, or Miss Buyer, you just just like today, if you were looking 6, 8 months ago, you'd be, or let's say just even around a year ago, and you're pushing it off this year, you're probably, those buyers are kicking themselves right now. Payment's going to be higher. There's less inventory. The prices have come up a little bit higher in some of the markets than they were last year because of limited inventory. It could be like this 6 months from now, a year from now, interest rates higher. My opinion, interest rates are going to continue to go higher. What I feel, the lack of inventory, if that continues, which I think it will continue to drive up prices a little bit more. Where it goes, I don't know exactly, but I don't see it getting any better for buyers in the near future. We'll just say that. And then also some people, I've seen it from agents calling me, telling me their buyers are saying this, and or seeing it on a post on Facebook or articles, is that buyers are putting things on hold. Some people, because they don't know. Well, procrastination, time could kill it. The prices could go higher, the rates could go higher, and where are you going to be 6 from? But you know where it is now. And telling people, timing the market for the best rates and the lowest prices is very hard. You can't pinpoint it. Again, you've got to explain to them, remind them of why they're buying. Forget about the interest rates. Even right now, I tell agents, just tell them in the history, I'll say the last 30 years, the average interest rate was probably 7 or 8% average over the last 30 years, we'll say. So if you say average, so we're still way below the average over the last 30 years. The last 5 years, different. Last 10 years, different. Last 30 years, yes. So where do you want to compare? Stop comparing. And last, I would just say, remind them that they have choices. They have choices of if they're going to buy, if they're not going to buy. When you give them the option, what I mean by that, when you explain to them, they have the option of not to buy, and remind them they have choices, remind them of why they're moving, not what they're buying, of why they want to move, of where they're living, and can they still live there? Or is it something that they have to move? So if they don't find something that they want, because they want a bigger house, they want this, they want that, whatever they want, but are they still livable? You know what I mean? So what I mean by that is, like, example, someone's expecting a baby and they have a 1-bedroom or 2-bedroom, or they have just got a new pet and the house is too small, or they're in a condo and can't do things that they want to do. Are there things that are forcing them out of their place because of something, enjoyment, family, financially, maybe they're downsizing, whatever reason? You could remind them of the things that why they wanted to move, the new things that they were looking for, and also remind them, if you don't really get off the fence, so to say, and buy something new, you're going to be back to that house. Or it's something, maybe it's a fixer upper. I'm like, hey, we really want to move because we have enough money for a down payment, but soon, like within a year or two, and this happens to people, they know within 2 or 3 years they're going to have to replace the roof. 2 or 3 years they're going to have to redo the furnace. 2 or 3 years the water heater is going, and they know by a certain time all this stuff's going to go, which could be totally fine for a new buyer. But then, like, in the next couple of years, we're going to have to put in another $5,000-$10,000 in this house, and might as well buy something that has more updated things. So those are one of the things there to do. So some of the other things to remind them is, I just discussed a little bit already. I like to jump ahead of my notes, is the payment. Go over the payment. You could download, even though you're not a loan officer, because you could show them, you could download an app on your phone, a mortgage calculator app. It's really good and handy to have, so you don't have to wait to talk to your loan officer. So when someone says, well, I really don't want to offer, 10,000 over asking because it's really, at my maximum. Well, let's go into my mortgage calculator and let's figure this out. You don't have to figure out the exact rate I mean, get within, you could even ask them, well, my loan officer approved me, I'll say this 5%. 5%, you don't have the exact price, but you can at least show and see the difference between at 5%, what the difference between 10,000 more of a loan costs. So you're like, okay, listen, $10,000 more at this would be this amount of payment. And if the appraisal comes back fine, everything's perfect. If you're putting 10% down, that is $1,000. So if you're putting we'll say 5% down, someone's putting minimal down, say, well, I don't want to pay 10,000 more for the house. I go, well, listen, 10,000 more is in down payment dollars, you're putting 5% down. It is $500 more down payment, and your payment will go up X amount of dollars per month. Can you do that? And like, oh, wow, I could do an extra, I'm just throwing out, $15 a month, $20 a month, and $500. That's what all it costs, 10,000. I don't have to put $10,000 more down payment. No. Now, sometimes we get in appraisal gaps and things like that. Whole nother topic about appraisal gaps and things like that. But payment is one of them. Also explain the market. Again, just like I was mentioning, the market could be changing, and for the worst for buyers, rates keep on going up, prices can keep on going up. Also, the fear of the next house might not be the better house. So when buyers are not sure, well, is this a house? I'm like, well, again, we've been looking at houses for this amount of time. We've seen this many houses. This one is the best one that you've seen so far. Do you feel that, again, we've seen all the houses, or you've seen all the one, this is the best one on the market now? Yes. It's your choice, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if you want to continue to look, but this is the best one now. Or do we don't know if there's going to be a better one, someone that's a little bit more updated. So many people go, I don't want to buy, I want something that's not as that much work. Well, if you're in a certain price range, in a certain city, every house in this price range is going to need work. Are you going to continue to wait for that kind of all the stars align, that perfect house that has everything done at the price range you want? But this is the best updated, cared for house in this price range that we've seen so far. Is this enough to risk? Because yes, there's buyers out there, a lot. I couldn't put a percentage on there, that have bought houses that are just good enough. They tick all the boxes, but of course could be better. It's not the perfect one. It's not very often we walk in a market with limited inventory and someone goes, and this is perfect, move right in. I'm not going to do anything to this house. It's just so perfect, and the price is perfect. That's why a lot of buyers are paying way over asking price, because some buyers, to them, it's perfect. I hear this from agents every week. Well, this buyer, and this was one of the agents that buyer backed out after the first day, is that they were figuring, they finally found this house. So exactly kind of like what I was saying, is that it was best that they've seen so far, but was a little on the edge of too much work that they wanted to put into it. And after one day, they just felt, it's just too much work that we want to do, but it's the best one we've seen, but it's still too much work, and we want to continue looking. And now they're back on the fence. So explain to them, is this, all of the ticks, everything's not going to be perfect. Everything's not going to be perfect. If you at least show them over time. We've been looking for weeks. We've been writing offers. Everything's, but what are the most important things? And remind them, it ticks everything that are the most important to you. But we also would like, so that's another thing, a suggestion that you can do with your buyers is like, what are all your must-haves and your wish list? Your must-have 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, must have a basement for storage or rec room, must have 2-car garage. What are all your must-haves? And what is your kind of wish list from there? And usually maybe the wish list could be, I want a bigger yard, I want on a cul-de-sac, I want, something I don't have to update too much, some, the all the stuff that might, if you found the best house on the market, what things that would say if you knew it was the best. So that's the question, is that, and we see this in certain price ranges, is that I want all of this, and now I want, these are all mandatory. I won't move ever unless I have all of these things. And then here's a wish list, usually best condition, move-in condition, this, that, 3-car garage, have 2-car garage, maybe bigger lot, maybe wooded, near a park, near this. What are all the wish list that if we found the best house on the market, and I told you this one's the best, but you're never going to find this, all these other things, you would still buy. Hopefully that makes sense. Because sometimes we have to remind them that that's not possible. It's just some things are not possible, or within a time frame. So example, they want to be out. They have to be out by a certain time before they have to start a new lease or their job or school or whatever. Okay, now, and then the gamble. Okay, great. This is a great house. And it's ticking everything, but it doesn't have everything. It's the best house we've seen, but do you want to risk? We only have one more month, 2 more months to get you into something. Would you be upset a month from now? We're still looking. I should have taken that one, because so many, we get through that. Every agent will get that. I have agents in this market right now. Many of our own agents have buyers still looking that kick themselves because they wish they would have offered a little bit more or taken a house or put an offer on a house that wasn't perfect because they still haven't found something. So think of that. Paint a picture. Said, I don't want you to get to the point. I want you to get what you want. I want you to be comfortable with your decision, but I don't want you to get to the point that you go, I wish I took that house. I wish I put an offer. I wish we had that house. I know it wasn't perfect, but we could have made it perfect. It was possible. I just was hoping for something else, and then hope sometimes disappoints, and it wasn't there. So that's part of your job as an agent to explain these things and the things that could happen. And of course, if you have these experiences, you could give them like, hey, I had a buyer this. I mean, gosh, so many agents with our buyers, with our sellers, we tell them stories all the time. And I love stories. Anybody talks to me about real estate or something, or I have an agent with a problem, I always tell them another problem that's worse to make that one look better. I don't know why. I just love doing it, because sometimes people think they're the worst they could be. Like, this is a terrible situation. Like, it could be worse. Could be worse. You're in a good position. You're not that bad. It could be worse. I do a lot of that. So explain to them, before you get to that position, I don't want you to be there, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. I don't want you to be there a month before you have to move, and you're going to settle for something even less than what this house might be because of time constraint, or after months of looking and just nothing better is coming on the market. Or as the grass is always greener kind of mentality. You just got to paint that picture for them of that, because you don't want to get to that point. That's that. And of course, you explain to them, I can't guarantee it, that when you buy this house, not a better one's going to come on the market, because I don't want them to be upset at you, but I want you to be comfortable with that decision, because I've had the experience, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, with having clients that 6 months later we're still looking and nothing's happening, and they need to move or want to move, or wherever they were, it's making them move, or they can't stay where they're at any longer. And they just wish that, there's buyer's remorse, or in the reverse, they didn't take action. So we get a lot of that with buyers, especially in markets where there's more inventory. That happens a lot. So hopefully they give you some ideas of getting buyers off the fence, the things that you need to think about, the theories, the mind, how their minds work sometimes. Again, everybody's different. Everybody's totally different with that. These are just general things that come up consistently with buyers that can't make decisions or don't know what to do or not sure, and giving you some talking points of thoughts of how to handle those. But if you need help with buyers, and you have lots of information, you have a history with them, and you've talked to them, I'm happy to kind of paint that picture, put that mental picture together, what's best for them, or at least best for you, to talking points, ways to talk to them, things to say, making sure that they're still active, really active buyers and not shoppers and taking up all your time. I'll do my best. But again, everything in life is not guaranteed, but I love the more you analyze, kind of like those profilers. I was watching one of those shows on Netflix for a little bit, last night. One of those I don't know, whodunit type shows or detective shows, and brought in those profilers. Okay, we got to profile and see where these people are and where they went and what they're going to do next. That's what we become sometimes. We become profilers. What with our buyers, what is really their motivation, when are they going to make that decision, what's going to make them decide to buy or not to buy. We profile all of their questions and all of their situations and put together which way it's going to go, and hope it will go. So I love doing that. It's kind of like just kind of like a puzzle to me, and trying to help figure out what's best for everybody. And our whole goal is to help them make those decisions, not push them, help them understand the risks, the costs, the emotions, to move on with your life and get into the house that they want, and move on to the next chapter of their life. Sometimes we're more like psychiatrists and psychologists than agents sometimes, and especially with buyers on the fence, does come up a lot. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, reach out to me, call, text, email me anytime. Happy to put you in my schedule and discuss whatever I can do to help you. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.